Preview.
Project MKUltra was a highly illegal, morally corrupt and terrifying set of experiments conducted by the Central Intelligence Agency from around 1953 to 1973. The goal was to develop a way to force an individual to provide information of value to the United States government, mainly exploring the avenues of hallucinogenic drugs and forced psychiatric changes. In this list, we take a look at the top 5 most disturbing actions of the CIA during this project. Let's begin. Number 5. Abduction. Subjects were required throughout the entirety of Project MKUltra, and given that this was a massively illegal undertaking for the CIA, subjects could not be obtained through normal means. The secrecy of the project and its illicit nature meant that test subjects would be gathered through a series of brutal and shadowy means, and there have been many reports of people claiming to have been abducted by the agency for the sole purpose of experimentation. Often targeting, and I quote from an official CIA operative, people who could not fight back. This included, but was not limited to, drug addicts, the mentally ill, prostitutes, and even children. Number 4. Blackmail. Used as leverage and entrapment, blackmail was utilized to secure subjects and to keep them quiet after the experimentation. For example, one of MKUltra's sub-projects was referred to under the codename Midnight Climax, where the CIA set up and operated several brothels in San Francisco and California. The aim of Operation Midnight Climax was to target the men who used the brothels. The threat of disclosure of their activities was aggressively used to force their cooperation in the trials, or worse, the men would be slipped numerous hallucinogenic compounds without their knowledge, and then dragged away to an interrogation room and blackmailed into keeping quiet after the trial had ceased. Number 3. Behavioral engineering. Through the use of various psychoactive drugs, dangerous psychological techniques, and brutal mental therapies, the subjects underwent the relentless efforts of the United States government to break the human mind for the purpose of information extraction. Among the techniques used were a combination of high doses of LSD and electroconvulsive therapy, followed by a lengthy interrogation process. These practices were often repeated multiple times on a single subject, often leading to massive psychological damage, sometimes to the point where they would be unable to remember important parts of their past, including their own parents, with some subjects latching onto their interrogators as parental figures in a state of irreversible mental confusion. Number 2. Hypnosis. Experiments in hypnosis range from attempting to instill a higher recollection in subjects through to generating anxieties and fear as a constant effect in normal life. Various techniques were employed to push the limits of 1950s hypnotic understanding, but as with many areas of MKUltra's experimentation, drugs were often used to force a hypnotic state alongside psychological torture and meddling to reach the desired goal. Again, the psychological damage would often be irreversible, and since no claims were made to the successful development of any kind of mind control technique, these experiments are more accurately described as torture. Number 1. Drug trials. At the top spot on this list we have the crux of all MKUltra experimentation, drug trials. Often used as the base of each procedure, the use of drugs ranging from LSD and mescaline through to other unknown chemical compounds was the first port of call when attempting to reach the goal of psychological and behavioral change in the project subjects. The theory was that any dose of hallucinogenic substance would upset the brain's natural balances so radically that follow-up procedures such as electroshock therapy, hypnosis, and interrogation would all have a massively increased effect. The main thing to remember though is that these subjects were almost entirely unwilling, so they would have been brought in under pressure or outright abducted, drugged with or without their knowledge, tortured, interrogated, and had all of the instances repeated multiple times, all under the vague premise that there may be something to it.